Hey everybody! Well, today we are getting started on a project that has needed to be done for a very long time. We're Douglas and Esperanza, and we decided to leave our lives in the US and move to magical Loreto, Mexico, where we built our boutique resort Pufferfish Villas from the ground up and work running it and saving to expand in the future. Please come with us to follow our journey and live before you die. So about a year after the pool was put in, we started having problems with tiles popping. Now, you always are going to have a few tiles, I think, that loosen up and pop off, and there is a way to replace them underwater with an underwater epoxy, and that's how I do the repairs on the tiles usually. But we had the problem where in a certain area of the pool, the tiles just really started coming off. I mean, we were getting 10 tiles a week coming off in this one area of the pool, which is on the top steps. So today we are going to start the repair of that top step. So behind me, we're going to see something that we have not seen, and that is the Pufferfish Villas pool half drained. So we drained the pool down below this top step here so that we can replace the tile on this top step and not have to get rid of all the water in the pool. Water is precious here. We don't want to waste any more water than we have to, so we only drain the pool down just enough to get below this step. So what we are going to do starting today is we are going to break the tile off of this step and re-tile and re-grout this step. So you can see these are just tiles that we pulled off and easily just popped out of here. So there's large sections of this step where the tiles were not held down very securely. So the question is, why did that happen? There's probably no way really to know. There's lots of factors that could have been at play. This was done at the end of the summer. It was very hot, and grout and mortar do not function properly and cure properly in very, very hot weather. So this was probably done at 100 degrees, and all the materials were at 100 degrees, and some of it was probably done in the direct sun. That right there can cause the mortar not to cure properly, and then especially when it's underwater for an extended period of time, that can cause it to fail. Another reason could be that this top step is, as you can see, done in a curved pattern. To do that, most of these tiles had to be done virtually one at a time. And that may have caused them to take a long time, and they may have put down too much mortar, and then they were working with these tiles one at a time, but they could not get them in fast enough, and the mortar basically skinned over, and now it's not sticky and it's not adhering properly to the tiles. That's also possibly what could have happened. Because of that, and because of the difficulty of doing this rounded pattern, we are going to change. So the bottom of the pool, because it was not practical to do a rounded pattern on the whole bottom of the pool, the whole bottom of the pool is done just in the square sheet pattern of the tile, where the tile is just laid a sheet at a time. It comes in big sheets, and that lets you lay the tile very quickly compared to having to pull the tiles off one at a time and put them into this rounded pattern. So we are going to re-tile this top step with the full sheet square pattern. That will allow them to do these full sheets. They can pre-cut the edges and get them all dry laid in here, And then they can just mortar this thing, lay all these sheets in, and it will be very quick, and we're more likely to get a very secure bond between the tiles and the step, which is what we want, because we don't want to have to go through this again. Luckily, Esperanza's sister is staying with us for a week, and so we have both the villas blocked off, and that allowed us to do this. Otherwise, we'd have to shut down the pool for our guests, and we have guests like continuously all the way through the end of June, and then it's too hot to do it in July, August, September, where we don't have many guests. Once it gets into October, we have guests again. Now it starts to cool down, so we could do this again, but it would be, then we'd have to shut down the pool for our guests. So this gave us a little window while it's still somewhat cool. It's only going to be about 85 degrees today, and we have shade up here, so the step should be in the shade most of the day. Hopefully this will give us a very solid and good job here, and we won't have to worry about this anymore. All right, I'm gonna finish the prep, get ready for them to come. They're supposed to show up here probably about an hour, and then they're gonna get started on demoing out the rest of this tile and getting this step ready to retile. Also, I wanted to say, you probably noticed that the pool is still running. We actually have water features now where the jets are returning the water. And this is important. If you just shut this pool off and didn't run it and tried to do this repair, which will probably take 2 to 3 days, what you're going to end up with is a green pool, because if you don't filter this for 3 days, even if it's got chlorine in it, it's probably going to turn green in that amount of time. So luckily the pool was done correctly, and when you build the pool, you put in what they call main drains, and they split the main drains between 2 different drains, and then you have the skimmer where it pulls in off the top of the water. So I'll show you here in the mechanical room. So there's lots of reasons when you may need to do exactly what we're doing now, which is say, I don't want to pull water from the skimmer because the skimmer's above the water. I want to pull water from the main drains on the bottom of the pool, so you can continue to filter the water even if only it's half full or a third full or almost empty. You could still filter the remaining water. And you do that by here. We have a valve, and we can choose to draw water from the skimmer or from the drains on the bottom of the pool. So right now we have this set to draw all the water from the drains on the bottom of the pool, and that allows us to keep filtering this water even when the skimmer is out of the water. So that's why it's important to plumb your pool correctly. Making good progress here. So I didn't get to show you any more of the tiling here because we have a family member in town, so we've been out doing some excursions. But they got this top step completely retiled. Now, I was going to have them do it in the regular square pattern, but they thought that it was better to recreate the curved tile pattern that we had before, because they said that is going to match better, which is true. And they said that since it's cooler now, they're able to do it, and they don't have any concern with the mortar being dried out before they got these tiles in. They did them in very small sections so that they would make sure the mortar did not dry out. And so this is all remortared and regrouted, and it looks fantastic. Now, I had the vacuum in here earlier today. There a lot of dust and gunk got into the pool, when they were doing this step, because they basically took off all the tile, they took off all the mortar they could, and then they took a grinder and ground the entire surface down to a flat concrete surface. That created a ton of dust and debris. They got as much as they could. The vacuum has gotten the rest of it, or a lot of the rest of it out. It looks really good. Now I'm gonna eventually vacuum this thing with the vacuum that sucks everything back into the filter, but I can't do that until we raise the water back up to the skimmer level. So we are going to leave this down for several more days to give this mortar and grout time to cure. There's differing opinions, but I go with the opinion of the company that makes the mortar and the grout, and they say it's better to not submerge this until it's cured as much as possible. And so we don't have guests for another like 3 days, so this is gonna get like 4, almost 5 days of curing before we put it back underwater, and hopefully that will be good. The last time we actually tiled and we filled the pool within like 2 days of tiling, so that might have had some problems with that. So looking good. Hopefully this will solve the 95% of our problem, which at least 95-97% of our problem had been on this step here. And so the few tiles that pop elsewhere, like there is one tile right now popped down here. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a white tile right down there that's popped. Those I can fix with the epoxy adhesive. Another thing is that we do have quite a bit of grout that has been dissolved out. I have identified an underwater epoxy grout, and it looks like it might be a good solution. I'm gonna buy some of that, and I'm going to attempt to repair some of the grout underwater and see if that works, because the only other option is to drain the whole pool, dry it out, re-grout it, and then wait another 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days and then refill the pool. So I'm gonna give this a shot. If it doesn't work, then we drain the pool later at a later date. But I'm hoping I can repair a lot of this grout where it's nasty, and you're not gonna be able to see where it's nasty now because all the nastiness is filled up with, there's so much grit and debris still in here that you really can't see, but there's tons of places where there's where the grout is almost completely missing in here. So now that I got this cleaned out, I was gonna show you what the grout looks like where it has eroded under the water. Let's take a look. Very cool to get this done. This has been bugging me. I've been very annoyed with the tiles on this top step now for quite a while. Especially the last 6 months, it's been horrible. I mean, literally, we're losing 10 tiles a week. And I was putting back in as fast as I could, but still, every week, every time we had guests, a pile of tiles would come off here. So now hopefully this step will be solid and we won't get a bunch of tiles popping there. All right, another big project done here at Pufferfish Villas. I didn't have a lot to do with it because our builder, he came and actually did this for free, did the whole repair for free. So that was really nice of him to step up and do this repair. We're gonna see how it goes. And then I'll show you when I get that underwater grout, and I'll show you that process of putting that on, and we'll see if that works. All the problems with having a full tile pool. You know, you don't realize it, I've had plaster pool, I've had a PebbleTech pool, and now I've had a tile pool. And all the surfaces have their pros and their cons. I mean, plaster's been used forever, but it wears down a lot quicker than the other surfaces, and it becomes very rough as it wears down, and we didn't want that rough surface. The PebbleTech pools last a lot longer than tile, but they are very rough. They are like sandpaper, and we did not like that surface. And the tile pools are the longest lasting pools. They can last 30 years, 40 years or more. There are tile pools here in town that are 40 years old, and they still have the original tile job, and it looks great, except for a few tiles here and there popping. So a well done tile pool can last a very, very long time. So it is a good choice, and it's a good choice here where the labor is so cheap to do it. In the US, I mean, you would literally pay tens of thousands of dollars just to do the tile on a pool this size, just to do the surfacing of the pool. Where, you know, doing a plaster in a pool this size might be $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. Doing PebbleTech might be $10,000, $12,000, $15,000. I mean, I don't know, a tile job might be 30 grand on a pool this size, especially with this small tile here. Here, the labor is so cheap, your labor costs to do a tile job like this are maybe $2,000 or $3,000. So it ends up being about the same cost as PebbleTech or anything else to do a full tile pool. So as long as you can get a good tile job, it's always going to be a better deal in Mexico to do a tile pool because they last forever. And the surface doesn't get roughed as it gets older because it's tile surface. So it stays smooth and soft on your feet and your hands, doesn't become sandpaper as it degrades because it doesn't degrade. And so it's a much nicer surface to deal with, much longer lasting, and hopefully now we won't have to worry about it for another 30 or 40 years. We are finally all completed and the pool is filled back up, and it just turned out fantastic. See the step there? We're all back filled with water and it looks great. So I'm really happy that we were able to do this repair without impacting any guests and hopefully get it done with, and we don't have to do any more repairs anytime in the near future. So thanks everybody for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and never forget to live before you die.